What up, everyone? I wanted to make a little recap for you all before the market closes. It was another day where I took my first trade was a losing one, and the second trade made back my losses and more profits. I don't know if it's just me being impatient or they're good setups and the market is just not, agreeing with my analysis at that time. But I'm gonna go over today's action, and later in the day, around 8:30, I'm gonna post a video on my personal YouTube about yesterday's action. But today's action, I took SPY calls off of this supply zone. Now, looking back just briefly, this setup, I don't really think I should have taken it. However, in the moment, it looked pretty good. And in hindsight, everything looks even better. So I think at the moment, this trade looked very good and it looked like we were going to break out, in my opinion. I'm going to show you why I took this setup. But I took SPY calls inside of the supply zone. But like I said, in hindsight, we put in a lower high, and I think this could have been a very good short setup. I know a bunch of you did take this short where I took it long, and that's why I lost on the trade, and some of you took a nice winning trade. So really what I saw here was I want to go in the pre-market plan. But first, the biggest thing for a trend reversal for me is either if new demand forms because of old demand, or just new demand forms and we pull back into that new demand zone and bounce. That's a telltale sign that we possibly are going to reverse trends. Another one is, since the market has been downtrending, supply zones have been extremely reliable. So when we do bounce off our demand zone and we do test the next supply zone above, especially a key one, if that supply zone above is not met with selling, and or we create demand at that supply zone or just slice through it like it's not even there, then it's telling me, hey, the short-term tides might start switching and we could start focusing on longs for quick little intraday movements. I even said this in my pre-market plan. I said it for NASDAQ. I'll be switching to longs if we do not reject and fail at the supply zone above. Essentially, what I was watching for was a break above this 40.38 supply, and we're going to get continuation as long as the market leading equities, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, Google, are also confluent with this analysis. Now, I have a chart, I have a screen with 6 different charts. I have all these major market leading equities on here, and I'm constantly watching them throughout the day to see if they are agreeing with my analysis, especially when trading ES and NQ. So what I was watching for was a break above this supply zone. In the first 5 minutes, we opened above it, but if you play the open, it's a complete gamble. The market can honestly go either way, and I think if you chase calls at the market open, you're going to get destroyed either way. Then we started pulling back, and I liked how we pulled into VWAP. Now, this is kind of the thesis why I took the trade. Not only did we bounce at VWAP overnight, we also hit VWAP throughout the day in the first 15 minutes of the market open, and I liked how VWAP was pointing up at this point. The market started moving higher, and VWAP was pointing up. Now, in the intraday commentary tab, pull this up here. I basically said I'm seeing some signs on the tape indicating some patient buyers leveraging into a large position. I would like to price to get back above 40.40 and hold. I'm not opening a trade yet. Strength from buyers comes from moves up instead of reversals to the downside. Again, kind of counterintuitive to the second trade that I took. But I said there's key signs of absorption at 40.50 on ES. So pulling up Bookmap here before everybody freaks out saying, what is this? This is just a historical level 2 and historical time and sales for us to go back and review the data after the fact. And when the market opened at 9:30, we're going to see very large absorption or just a very large seller at the 40.50 level. Now, how do we know this? Let me zoom in a little bit more here. Look at every time we come into 40.50, right? The market moves up. There's some aggressive buy orders, yet there's a very large orange line here indicating a very large, aggressive, passive seller. It's almost like a brick wall that the market could not get above this 40.50 area where it was a very large passive seller. Now, for the market to get above this 40.50 area, we are going to have to see very aggressive buy orders hitting the offer overtaking whatever size that seller is passively selling. Now, at this moment, there was a very large aggressive buy order that came through, about 1,800 lots, and we broke above this. Then we start to see the book kind of flip, and that seller now is now on the bid. 4050 is definitely a very interesting area, because when we were above it, we saw a bid down there, and then as soon as we get back below it, we see an offer back there. Then the market comes back up, tests this 4050 area, and we fail to break above with aggressive buying. At this point, I got a volume profile on the chart right here. This basically shows the transactions by price. And there was 4,000 lots that hit the offer. So 4,000 aggressive buy orders at 40.50, yet price could not really move any higher above that. Again, that seller's still there, that seller's still there, that seller's still there. And then we come back and test it again around 10:04. And now we got over 7,000 lots at 40.50, and we could not break above it. Now, the point for my analysis on this trade was I viewed this as, yes, there was a seller in the market, but I thought it was, this is kind of where my head was at, it was a buyer basically on the other side, buying passively when he spoofed the market to the downside. Because as we started to come down and I saw this 4050 area act as resistance, as the market started to move down in this area, we started to see bids step back into the market on multiple different occasions. And I viewed this as a buyer basically being very patient to buy at lower prices after spoofing the market, looking like there was a seller at 40.50, if that makes sense. So as the market was coming down, I viewed this as a buyer basically leveraging in or loading into a larger position. And then the market came back up, and at 10:02, I got long. I got long when the market looked like, I'll go to a 1-minute chart so you can see it a little bit better. When the market looked like this, I played SPY calls, anticipating a 4050 break, and anticipating that if we could get above 4050, we're going to break 4058. And if we could get above 4058, my target would have been 4070, because 4070 was yesterday's high. So that was my analysis. I was about a 30-point reward for about a 12-point risk because my stop was below VWAP. At the time, VWAP was at like 40.28. So I'm risking about 12 points to make about 30 points. Not a bad risk to reward at all. And then the market started moving up. We broke that 4050 area, as you can see right here, but we failed to get above 4058, and that's kind of a red flag. Now, reviewing this trade, I don't know how to review this properly. I don't know if I should have reacted to the breakout or the fake out above 4050, and I maybe should have got out of my position to protect myself for a small win or even like a small loss or break even. I don't know if I should have reacted to that and got out to protect myself, or if it was correct holding to my stop, because even though we did fake out above that level, my stop never triggered until about 20 minutes later, and I got out of that position. I think it was a very good setup. I don't really think I did anything wrong, as my book map's lagging, but it just didn't work out. So I started the day red, and like I said earlier, in hindsight, lower high inside of supply, this could have been a good short setup, and also not labeled or not pictured. I don't know why my TOS is running so slow. Computer's running slow. Not pictured also was a 1-hour supply zone. Not sure why my Thinkorswim is lagging like this, but we also had a 1-hour supply zone at 40.55. So, I mean, yeah, we had supply above, but I'm not going to consider this a bad trade because I followed my plan, but I'm not going to consider it, a really, really good setup. And the second setup, like I said earlier, it's kind of counterintuitive for what I've been telling you all, not to do. But just to recap this pretty fast, the market, just like yesterday, selling off. We hit this demand zone, really failed to find buyers. But one thing I do want to notice here, now that we're below this zone right here, is we basically have like market structure demand, meaning we have a drop, we have a consolidation period. And if we get a move up past this consolidation period, then we're going to have a valid rally, and then we'll have a solid drop base rally, and we're going to have to play with the time frames to find it. This was on a 1 hour chart. We have now a 1 hour demand zone, even like a 30-minute, and I'm sure on higher time frame, but it's spotting this consolidation period, and that's kind of where I got my 3990 area. Pull this up here. Biden speaking, however, if ES SPY can establish some volume, let me pull up this book map as well. If ES SPY can establish some volume between 3990 to 4000, it should bring us a move into 4013, then a move into 4030. Even though I'm 0 for 1 today, I'm not letting it get to me, and I'm focusing on finding another setup. Now on Bookmap, I'll pull this up here. Let's see if it loads without you guys getting my password to it. Okay. So on Bookmap, what I saw here was above my 3990 level. Pull this 6 hour up. We saw very aggressive buying. I even posted this in the Discord. That, like I said, I really wasn't interested in playing long. However, did I know we were going to rally to the certain extent we did today? Absolutely not. But I saw very strong buying above my level. Even though I wasn't interested in playing longs, an hour ago or 2 hours ago, by spotting this type of action and reacting to it, I have to put risk on. And if it fits how I trade, as long as I manage my risk and adjust my size accordingly to this trade, especially since I am playing counter trade, I'm not going in with my normal size. I'm not trading with, 200 contracts, 150 contracts. I'm trading with a reduced size, number one, to brace for volatility because premiums are more expensive, and number two, to fit this type of setup that I am trading. I'm going against the trend. I'm essentially being a first buyer, but I'm reacting to the type of buying that we are seeing in the market. This type of buying really has not lasted. Pull this up here now. This type of buying really hasn't lasted recently in the market, but above this consolidation range, we could even see it on Bookmap. I mean, this is what we saw earlier about this drop, this base, and if we could get above 3990, where I got this level from was this passive seller over here that came in around 1230, also near the pivot high of that consolidation range, that if we could get aggressive buying above, look what happened when the buying started to come in. Let me remove this column. Look what happened when the buying started to come in. As we start coming in above 3990, I get long, stop loss if we move back inside of this range, targeting VWAP, and then the last target was the 4030 area, as I mentioned in that post. And this buying is something to not ignore, especially when it comes random, especially when it comes in lunch hour, especially when new demand does form, and especially when we break above this consolidation period over here. And it was a nice setup. Did I expect this to happen? No. I'm going to be honest, I expected to take that one trade I took earlier and walk away because I really didn't see anything else. But I reacted to what the market gave me. I responded to it. I put risk on and I managed my trade accordingly. Did I know we were going to rally like this? Definitely not. I'm not going to sit here and try to call a bottom either. But that is the type of buying that can't be ignored. You have to react to what the market gives you and put the trade on. So hope this helps. I didn't even plan to make this recap. Like I said, I was expecting just having this one trade and walking away, but that's what happens with the market. It presents an infinite amount of scenarios. Expect the worst with any type of trade that you put on. That way, if it's better than the worst, it's going to be a good trade. And yeah, so now we have some structure in the market. We have this 1 hour demand zone. I believe, or we might have it on higher time frame. Yeah, we have 2 hour. I mean, so this is a pretty strong close. I would like the market to close above this 4040, actually 4050. I'd prefer it to close where we saw that passive seller earlier. And if it could close above 4070, I think we're going to have some nice upside tomorrow. But we do have news before the market opens. But I think this is setting up for potential structure. We also have very heavy volume. We have about an hour and a half until the market closes. And we've already done 200,000 volume over our daily average. So I would really like this candlestick to close kind of strong, preferably, near the highs of yesterday, and also volume to spike more before end of day. But This is definitely setting up for more setups, so just remain patient. I hope you can learn from these two trades that I took. Be on the lookout for the YouTube video I'm going to post later. I basically break down the first setup, and I'm briefly going to get into the one that I talk about here. But yeah, peace out. I would appreciate any feedback.